Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Uncorked with Funny Wine Girl. This is Funny Wine Girl, aka Janine Luby. And I said last week I cannot believe how quickly time is moving. And today we've actually got snow out there, which is wild. I think it's a little early for me, but it is beautiful. So here we are. It's a season. And it's always in season music. Today, that's going to be what we're talking about music and empowering young women, which I am all about, giving girls options, giving them, education and tools and fun and all kinds of cool stuff. In fact, I'm getting musical myself. You can see my little shaker here, and I have to show off my new drums. I know these are going to make people jealous. Really cool, right? No, I actually, seriously, I do laughter yoga as part of my business, Laugh to Live. And I kind of, one day I was at Scranton Counseling Center working with some of their clients, and they have a therapy room where they also have music. And they had different kinds of drums on the wall. And we started doing our ho, ho, ha, ha, ha with the drums, and people liked it. So I've started incorporating that into workshops. I'm all about laughing, but I'm also about play and fun. And I think music plays a big role in that. So I always like to say at the beginning, excuse me, of my episodes, as you know, how I know my guest. If I was connected to them or if I knew them personally, I just think we need to really keep on connecting. The pandemic kind of made us retreat a little bit. And I know that there's people out there who are shy and don't really enjoy connecting in person. I get that. I really do. But we can achieve so much more when we connect with one another and we collaborate. So I love that idea of being curious, getting to know people, remembering them. I can't tell you, I ran into 3 different people I knew today at Retro Cafe in Scranton. Shout out. I always see people there I know, and they're people I've met in a variety of different places. We all have different skills, different gifts, and we can help one another in a variety of ways. So this week, my guest is Natalie Jurosky and Gabriella Tallarico. So Natalie, you might remember, was on, I won't say the exact date because I don't remember. And with my perimenopausal brain, I can tell you it was in the last year, that Natalie was on, and she spoke about Scranton Girls Rock. And then, if you might recall, not that long ago, only maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, I had Amber Viola on, who was talking about the great experience she had. She was a volunteer at Scranton Girls Rock summer camp, and her daughter attended. So she shared all the cool stuff about that. So today we're going to continue the conversation with Natalie. Gabriella, or Gabby, was also a volunteer, and she was instructing on music. So we're going to talk about that experience, and we're going to talk about an event that's coming up on November 23rd, which is pretty great. So good afternoon, Natalie and Gabby.
Hello, Janine. Nice to be here again.
Great to have you. Hey, nice to meet you, Gab. And I should say, and we'll get into this more. So Gabby is local and she plays music and she's in a band. So I'm an old fart who sits on the couch, but if it's at a certain time that I can attend, I will have to check it out. So we'll get into that, Gabby's music, because it is so important. As someone, I do stand-up comedy, but I'm always saying whether it's an art show, whether it's a, music show, comedy show, we need to get out and support our local talent for sure. So, Natalie, let's talk. We did talk about Scranton Girls Rock, like the whole concept and all of that before. But if we can do the snapshot version of that, I will say Girls Rock is kind of across the country, right? They have different kind of affiliates or branches, if you will. And you started Scranton Girls Rock.
Yes. And Scranton Girls Rock is just a summer camp for girls and gender expansive youth, ages 8 to 17, that empowers participants through music, creativity, and collaboration. I think that is our official mission statement.
Well, I was going to
Um,
say, damn, that was really clear and concise. That sounds official.
But basically, we gather a bunch of, women and just alternative lifestyles together, and we get them rock instruments. We like bass, guitar, drums. If you have a saxophone or a clarinet, like whatever, bring it. It's just about enjoying music. We help them form bands. We help them make band merch, band logos. We get them trained up, and then we have a showcase at the end of the week with their rock bands, and they perform for the community, their parents, and they end up making really powerful friendships along the way and great memories and great music. We had a really great couple of songs from our past camp, and Gabby is going to talk hopefully a little about that because she got to witness the making of a lot of that as the band manager.
That's really cool. And before we get to Gabby, and I want to talk about that, So the girl, well, girls and beyond, I'll say, I don't know what the proper terminology is. Youth expansive? Is that gender expansive? Whatever.
You know, we're a
People are
bunch of
welcome, I should
girls.
say.
We're just a bunch of girls trying to have fun. Like,
Kind of like Cindy Lauper saying, yeah.
yeah, and if you're about like having fun with a bunch of girls and you're going to be respectful and, be about our vibe, then just come hang out. We don't really like getting into the nitty-gritty of the words. We just really like humans and we like everybody having a chance to share their voice.
That's a great way to put it. It's a week-long summer camp, but what I was going to say is what I love about it too is it's you teach the campers, excuse me, more than just music. And I shouldn't say just music, because music is huge, but you kind of give them the business side, the advertising side. You kind of give them the whole, which I think is great for empowerment and also for like creativity, decision making, team building, because they're having conversations, they're making decisions, and they're like really able to see what they can do together. So it's music, but also music as an art, a business, all of that. I love that you offer all of that in 1 week.
I love that you pointed out so clearly that that's what's happening because really we're just trying to make an experience. And your podcast with Amber, I was in absolute tears just crying, like hearing the perfect words coming out of everybody's mouths about like the experience that they had at this camp. And it fueled me for year two. Although referencing your past podcast, there won't be 2 weeks this year.
Okay. Okay, so it's a 1 week camp, right?
The 1 week camp,
A one
yes.
week long
Maybe
camp.
year three we'll try for 2 weeks because I really think it's gonna be quite popular. And I know that there's a lot of girls looking for something to do. I mean, just to have the opportunity to get together with other girls and write music, it's a different kind of energy. And it's definitely one that I wish I didn't wait until 30 to get to experience. But now I can't live without it.
That's awesome. So you can tell your passion for it, which I love. And, I mean, we're at different ages, but as a Gen Xer, I like summer camp back then did not, it looked like something I would have been dragged to. I would never wanted to go. There was no cool camps. Of course, I wasn't a cool kid. I was a nerdy kid who didn't want to be around people. Thank God that has changed. But so let's talk, Gabby. I want to talk to you about your experience. You were a volunteer, but you were like teaching, if I'm saying that right, that you were kind of like showing the girls, the attendees, how to play instruments. Tell me about your experience and what your role was with the campers.
Yeah, so I actually am a teacher full time. So when I heard about this camp, I had heard it through the grapevine. I heard it from a couple of other female musicians and other, musicians, male musicians that I work with about this camp that was happening. And I thought, wow, that would be perfect for me because I teach full time. I taught elementary school music for 4 years. Now I teach high school music. I teach choir, so you're not the only nerd, just saying. Um, and I like I said, I play in a band. I love playing out locally. I love teaching, and I thought this is perfect. So when I came on to the volunteer team and the teaching team, I got to work with some women that I already knew, that I already worked with. I got to meet Natalie, who I had not met before, which was great, and all of our awesome campers. And it was a really cool experience because there was no experience prior that they needed to bring to the table. Some of them did bring prior experiences. Some of them had parents that were musicians. Some of them had never touched an instrument before ever in their life. Most of them did not know each other. I think we had a couple campers who came with friends, but we, having them all come together and bringing their experience or lack thereof to create something totally new was an awesome experience both for them and for us as counselors, volunteers, whatever we want to be called. But we got to create something together, and it was great, especially seeing them at the different age levels, because we had some really little ones and we had some older girls who were more, I guess you can say, like self-driven. They knew what they wanted to create and they knew how to do that. We just kind of facilitated that, whereas the little ones kind of needed a little bit more attention and direction. But it was really cool to have the mix of all of that together.
I was gonna say, and I think that's an important point that you bring up, Gabby, that it's not like you don't have to be like, oh, I've been taking lessons for 3 years. Like you can be a kid who doesn't know, who's never held, as you said, never held an instrument. Is that I think that's really cool because honestly, I think then it doesn't discriminate or doesn't like keep people out, keep kids out who don't have that experience. How is that though? I would imagine that's a little challenging. Like how to blend all the different capabilities in one short time frame.
Yeah, there were definitely some obstacles with that. I mean, it was cool because the girls who had some experience were also able to help some of the other ones who had not really had any musical experience before. So that was an interesting perspective to kind of help them lead each other. But then we also had like we were able to adjust some things. Like we had one girl who was in a group with, she was also one of the younger girls with other girls who were on the younger side of our campers in a group together, and she had a guitar, and she, the chords were not really, she wasn't really getting them down, she was getting a little bit frustrated. So what we did was we just, I picked up the guitar and I tuned it in open tuning and I handed it back to her and I taught her a strumming pattern, and she was like happy as a clam because she still was able to create and she was able to contribute to the band, even though we didn't have, a ton of time to dive deeper into, guitar chords and each string, and she was able still to create music without that obstacle then in the way. So
I love that.
and then we had, a girl who was playing keyboard who was playing a full song by herself in like one day. So we were able to have that balance, even though it was that mixture together with the different ability levels.
I love that. That's like me and my ukulele. I've had it 2 or 3 years and I can't get the chords down, but I can do a strumming pattern. It still
Yeah.
sounds fairly decent.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes that's the first step. And then as you're adding these different elements in, you have the foundation of the rhythm and the strumming pattern, and you could just build.
Yeah, I love that. And so I love too that it gave the girls who did know already the opportunity to step up and be leaders also, which is a whole different skill that they can, or muscle they can learn and flex. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Did you find it a lot different than your experience that you already have? I mean, it was great that you had experience teaching kids, but like patience, something that I lack sometimes for a long term, long time. Did you find it similar to what you've already been doing?
In some ways, yes, and some ways no, because like I said, I had taught elementary school, which was helpful. And like you said, the patience, and I am often told that I have a lot of patience. It looks a lot better than it is sometimes. Sometimes we pretend, sometimes we fake it, but we get through. But a lot of, and what you were even saying about with your drum and the different like rhythmic things, like those things definitely came in handy when we had all of the campers together and we were doing like little workshops. And that definitely, like, I was able to hone in on my skills with teaching in a classroom with like a group of students versus like the individualized instruction, which I also have taught music lessons, so that came in too. But I recently transitioned to teaching high school, which was interesting because, again, I didn't really have a lot of experience with those students. And so a lot of them had the different ability levels. And I teach chorus, so it's very vulnerable. A small group of kids singing in front of each other. A lot of them didn't know one another. And I don't know if you could hear my cat meowing, sorry.
No, that's okay.
But a lot of them like to sing. Most of them like to sing, but they're all at different levels. And so now this year I'm seeing the groove kind of coming in because this is my second year now with these kids. So it's similar because of, like I said, the levels and the groups, and we're able to do things together, but it's different because it's so individualized at the end of the day within, especially within the bands. And I definitely think though that I was able to take what I knew from my experience in teaching to bring it to this setting.
And I think that's super helpful. And I'm sure there are people who don't teach music that can be helpful too. I mean, everybody brings different styles and skill sets. When you brought them together, so were they working on, and I don't know if this is a question for you or Natalie, either one that wants to answer, was the goal for them? I know at the end there was a showcase. Did they actually write a song together, like lyrics and things? And I know they could name their band and create a logo and get some merch and everything, but musically, were they working on writing some original songs to perform? Was that kind of the goal?
That was for the showcase. That was the goal for each group to write something. Now, the older group, because we had one band that kind of had encompassed all of the older campers, they had written out almost like a full-fledged song with like verses and a chorus, whereas some of the other smaller bands that had the younger girls had like a really quick song, but we kind of had them like repeat the lyrics, and they kind of just jammed out. And it was interesting because some of the girls really struggled with like writing the lyrics and getting the song structure together, and that was fun to kind of gear or navigate them through that. Whereas we had one group that was just a band of two girls, and they wrote like three different songs, and their song ended up being about, Natalie knows exactly who I'm talking about, their song ended up being about food, and they were just like shouting different foods and like jam. It was so much fun. So
Well,
it's
sorry, that
yeah, go ahead.
song, when I first got there, the first day of camp, these two girls found each other. You knew they were going to hit it off immediately. And they're sitting there reading this little workbook that I made. Like, my mom and I were like, is this even worth it to make a workbook with like basic knowledge of each instrument? I'm so glad we did, because there's like rhythms in it that's like avocado toast. It's like teaching you like hamburger, hamburger. Like when you clap and you teach these kids the rhythm, they just put the food to it. So they ended up like, to see that little, they're sitting there chanting together day one. And then day five, they have a whole song written out. And I started cracking up when I heard the lyrics. That was such a good surprise. So, but yeah.
And they, like you said, they were perfect for each other. They just didn't care what anybody had to say. They did their own thing. And that's what this is all about. And they were true to themselves from the beginning of the week to the end of the week. And I was inspired by them because they were just so cool. They didn't care. They went on stage. I'm sure that they were nervous, but they just totally, completely rocked it. And their song they were just shouting different foods, and it was so fun. So like a lot of the time, I feel like when people are thinking about, oh my gosh, I have to learn how to play an instrument and write a song, it really is, especially at the level that we're at with this camp and with the age levels, it can be anything. And it's all that matters is that it's fun and they're having fun, and whoever is listening is going to have fun.
And I think that's so key too, because the goal is fun. I mean, obviously, it would be great for them to walk away with some knowledge that they'll remember. That's great. But I mean, for them to have fun, and I love the idea they're just shouting food, because who wouldn't want to hear that? Like at a show, I could just imagine. And the more fun the girls are having, the more fun the people watching are going to have, and just have a great time. I love that idea. I think that's
Well, and
fantastic.
it's funny too that Natalie brings up the workbook that has like the food to break down the rhythms, because I can remember, and this is a kind of a tangent story, but I'll tell it anyway. When I was in band in high school, we were playing Day and Night by Michael Jackson for our marching band field show. And I can remember my teacher was the trumpets could not play the rhythm, but the bump, 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 ba bump. And he was like, why can't they play it? And the last three notes, the ba up, he was like, just play it like this. And he said, I forget, he said a different food, but the last one was apple pie. And I will never, ever in my whole life, ever forget that. And so like it sounds so silly, but I use things like that all the time. It helps it stick in their head, and then they can't not play it the right way, and they can't not figure it out using those mnemonics.
I think, hey, whatever works, right? I mean,
Yeah.
come on, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So they put on this show, and I know when I talked to Amber, like she was a helper, volunteer, and her daughter, and she said she had the best time, like really had fun.
Oh,
How
well,
was?
sorry. I'm so
Go
sorry.
ahead.
To tie it in, Jacqueline her daughter ended up being a part of those two girls groups. They were the Freaks of America. So
The
we've full
freaks.
circled this.
Yes.
That's great. That's fantastic because I saw photos of her and she looked like she was having the best time and really rocking out, like a little rocker for sure. Yeah. That's fantastic. How was it to see it for you, Gabby, as someone who helped to make this happen? And of course, I know it's about the kids, but you do have to feel like a sense of like it's fun for you, but also pride. Like I helped make this happen because without volunteers and without people helping guide this, it doesn't happen. So was it really rewarding to watch them when they put everything together?
It really was. And, you know, when you're in the background of something like this, and I've done this before just in teaching, like I had like little concerts with my elementary schoolers, and it, you know, you feel happy and prideful when you see them smiling and when they're having fun. But putting together something like this, and I know that Natalie, I'm sure, can speak to this, it's if you feel the stress of like, oh my goodness, is this going to go well? Are they going to freak out? Are they going to go out there and freeze? Is the guitar going to be plugged in? Is this like, is, you know, is the cable going to work? Like and you feel the stress sometimes that you feel when you're playing on your own, like making sure that the sound check goes well, making sure that people are there to watch, that, you know, the parents are happy. But like watching, I stood backstage, I was kind of helping facilitate some of the movement between bands, and just watching them do it and hearing the crowd cheering and clapping with them. Of course, they're their family and friends, so they're going to be supportive, but hearing that for them as their first experience in something like that was really, it made all of like the stress and the worry of if it's going to go well, like melt away. It just makes it really feels like it's all of the stress from that kind of thing is so worth any of that.
Yeah. And I can imagine you were like a mama bear there, right? You were
Yeah.
worried for them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like that because I mean, we've been there. You know, when I was a kid, I really am nerding myself out right now. But when I was taking piano lessons and like doing like little choir things in elementary school, I had like debilitating stage fright and would get like physically ill like going out on stage. Like, and you would never know now because of how much I perform, but like when I was a kid, that was really hard for me. And so as I always feel those nerves when I like have my kids do things, or like I'm watching my students or whoever perform, because I'm like, okay, it's going to be fine. They're going to be fine. They're not going to freak out. They're going to play well. And having the worry for them and then seeing it just totally rock is awesome.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's an important point too, especially for you to relate to the kids because the fact that you were nervous and like I was the type of kid that was so anxious in kindergarten, like I would almost want to throw up just going to school. And
Mhm.
my story isn't so great in the fact that it was the nuns that scared the shit out of me to become, you know, like, hey, we don't take crybabies in first grade. That's literally what I was told. So I'm like, well, I'm going to be a good girl now and not do any of that stuff. That's not the way. Therapist, that is not what I recommend to tell these kids. But for the idea of like that you can overcome it is my point. And like you can, and now practice makes perfect, although I know nothing is really perfect, but practice makes things better and easier, I think. So now, like you said, you're performing a lot, but helping them understand too, it's okay to have nerves. It's okay to feel that way. And it's okay because you don't have to continue to do this, but even though you have those nerves, you can continue to do it and you
Yeah.
can enjoy it and be part of something wonderful.
I was told, I don't remember which one of my teachers told me this, but I was always told that practice does not make perfect, but practice can make permanent. And so as you're practicing something, even if it's difficult and you face difficulty going through this thing every time as you practice doing it, you will know, and the permanence of knowing, okay, this is going to work out. Even if I don't do well, I'm going to get through it. That's kind of been something that I remind myself and try to pass on also to students, that practice makes a permanent mindset. It helps make a permanent like routine. It just helps to create that.
I love that. I have not heard that before, but I like that. I like that so much better because I like to say there is no such thing as perfection, and
Mhm.
perfection is really imperfection as far as I'm concerned. But I mean, it's, you know, it's really what's, yeah, I think that's great. Let me ask you, Natalie, and then I want to get into like the November 23rd event, but how was it for you? I mean, I know we talked a little bit about this before. Like, obviously, your nerves had to be, I mean, this is a big undertaking. It was your first summer camp. How was it for you to see that that performance? I mean, because you're seeing the kids, but you're also seeing proud parents clapping and all of that.
I'm a crier. I was just trying to have a healthy amount of me enjoying a good cry and not making everybody else around me wildly uncomfortable with the amount of tears coming out of my face, because it's so healing, all at the same time, for the reason that Gabby was saying, like those first nerves, you going to school, like the first instance of something is so important. And I think I've realized that in my 35-year journey, that like, oh, a lot of my problems are coming from bad approaches to starting things, And what if like humanity, or, even your friends had enough consideration to just sort of set you up in a good way? Like if we were just concerned about that, like, oh, Gabby has a show tonight. Like, I wonder if I could do anything for her. Like, I'm not doing anything. Like, instead of thinking like, how can I go drown my sorrows because it's freezing out, which it's 34 in Florida. So I feel like I'm identifying right now.
Damn.
It's the first cold snap, but yeah, just I'm sorry, I got distracted with the colds.
No, that's fine. And I think you make a really important point, because I'm often saying go support, meaning like, go buy a ticket, go there. But sometimes people are held back maybe by financial means. Maybe they can't buy a ticket. But what you're saying is just as important, and sometimes even more valuable. How can I help this friend? Can I share the post? Can I tell other people about it? Can I bring some flyers around? Can I just reach out to them and see what they need, or even wish them well and say you're going to do great? Because those little things, it's not about ego, it's about positive affirmation, like helpful. Like, I will tell you, last week, between perimenopause and things going on with my family and my dad, my imposter syndrome, my negative nonsense that I created in my head, I presented a breakout and a presentation in the morning. Both of them were important to me. And I believed in my message about positivity and humor and laughter. But in my head, it was a rough week. And even I had friends giving me positive, vibes, and I still struggle. And that's my own issue, because at some point you do need other help. But I mean, to your point, it has value. It has value. And it's like, yes, show up if you can in the audience, but show up in other ways too, because it really does mean something. I think sometimes people think too, oh, they're busy, they're working on this. Reach out with a text to say good luck, or hey, you're going to do great, or oh my gosh, I know you killed it last time, I love what you did. That stuff means a lot. But I don't want to go off too long, but I do agree, that's what it made me think of.
Right. And I love that you practice that, like, just through everything that you're going through. Just, you're right. That camp is sort of like me practicing, like, am I who I say I am? Like, do I stand for what I believe in? So those moments that get a little crazy or chaotic, or if I look a little stressed, like, just know deep down in my core, I'm actually really excited that I get to work on myself, and I've hit a new level that I get to practice as a human. I'll practice the bass, I'll practice being a human, like, and that comes from enjoying practice, having good music teachers who made me excited to go to music class. And so practice was not something that I dreaded. However, if you talk to a lot of parents who are trying to get their kids into music without any outside help, without any bandmate possibilities, what you're telling your kid to do is to sit in a room alone. And if you only sat and tried to practice an instrument alone by yourself without any validation, you would know that that's not why you're really trying to learn the instrument, first of all. And, sometimes your parents will even say, and this is not anything specific, but I imagine everybody comes to their limit with noises.
Yes.
And then you're like, hey, turn that down. And you're like, well, okay. I wanted to prove to you I was practicing. Like, so it can be very confusing. And I think, I want to be there to help parents navigate those waters. I want to find other women like Gabby who are really good at doing that too. And, instead of us all going in our individual ways of freelancing lessons or working for places who might not allow us a lot of creativity, or, showing our true strengths, working on other things we want to work on, we have each other, we know what the mission is, and we get to do that every week. So it's kind of like a summer camp for me that I set up, that just, on the occasion teaches girls how to be rock stars.
Yeah. Yeah. And on that note, let me ask, so this, you're doing the summer camp again. It's 1 week. Gabby, as we talked about, she teaches music, so she was teaching the campers. What is something, just to address now, anyone who might be listening, use this as an opportunity, Natalie. What are you looking for in the terms of support to make this year's summer camp happen and succeed?
If I had to talk about the ideal person who could probably come in and have an easy time, it would be somebody like Gabby, who's, into teaching and into music. It doesn't have to be like a professional rock star or anything. Rock is sort of just a very vague way to say, hey, we're going to have a jam session. So even from other genres, other walks of life, like I'm just really interested in exposing as much music to these girls as possible. So um, if you have that teaching background, if you have experience of being part of an organized band or a team that did something, anything, like it, the more specific it gets to our mission, obviously the easier it'll be. But I assure you, like, we just want to get the help that we can get. And if you're interested in us, then we're interested in you.
I love that. And there's always a place for people, right? Like there's
Yes.
always something that needs to be done.
Yes, it doesn't have to just be the music part. I mean, it would help to have a couple more people who were just good with kids. Sort of like, hey, I'll take them to the bathroom. I go walk them down the hallway. Like this, somebody's having a little bit of needs a little grounding. I could take this kid aside. We have more people to help out. So the more people we have to help, the better. There's food handlings, and if you want to be a cafeteria lady, if you're a dietitian who's like, wow, nobody ever listens to me about kids' health and I've made this perfect menu, like when will somebody hear me? Like, come on and bring it here. We
Yeah,
just
and that's
want
a
these
good
girls
point.
to have the best knowledge that they could while we're doing what we want to accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're because they're there for most of the day, right? So that is important. There's meals, there's a lot to help out with. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
definitely. So let's talk about the upcoming event, which is November 23rd, which is a Sunday in Scranton at the V Spot. Tell me what that's all about, who should attend, and what it's all about, really. And I think it celebrates, but I think it also is an opportunity to support as well.
Yes. If you have ever been curious, because I've spoken to so many people throughout this year, so many wonderful, talented, beautiful women that I'm like, yes, come visit us. This is an opportunity to get a sense of our vibe and how the community feels and operates. And it's also a way for the dads and uncles and supporters of our mission to come in and we can thank them personally and try and entertain them a little. And then at the heart of it, we're going to have whatever counselors can make it and whatever campers show up. They're going to be just performing on stage. A lot of my career has been in the alternative rock, male-dominated music zone, and things can get pretty serious over there. So I really like doing everything like don't that stigma of like, oh my gosh, I messed up, or like, oh my gosh, or like my instrument stopped working, like, oh. I want to make an environment where it's like, oh, hey, that guitar stopped working. I'm like, oh, let me check that out. And then the crowd just understands that we have to pause for a second. I think it's good crowd management too, to have them have a little patience, see the humanity that is up on stage trying to entertain you, clapping for the effort rather than the quality of performance, because the fact that you got up there is outstanding. And then maybe I would like to just subliminally get a couple people who thought they'd never perform or be on stage in front of anybody just up, even if it's with a tambourine. Like, it's just so empowering to get on stage and realize that it's all just fun, you know? And some people can take it really seriously and they love it. So we praise them and admire their tenacity. But there's a whole other demographic of musicians and creatives that like just having fun and creating art and seeing where the limit of that can take us instead of individual talent limits. It's like, how much art can this community create? What kind of sounds come out of this? And it goes all the way back to your drum because that drum like just ties the rhythm together. When you have those drum circles, even when you get everybody like doing something together, we're just trying to have a party. So that's what the 23rd is, from a small scale perspective all the way to the big metaphorical picture. We're just having a big party to celebrate exactly who we are and what we're about and showing it off a little bit.
And now this is, I want to say it's is it 4 to 7 or what is the time for this event?
3 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay.
And the after party is going to be 7 p.m. with DJ Fritz and his karaoke. I got so excited when I heard he was going to be there so I will be performing that day regardless.
No matter, in a variety of ways, probably, right?
Yeah.
So can people, is there like a donation at the door, like to attend, and then that helps out Scranton Girls Rock? Is that how it works, or?
Yeah, all of our shows are suggested donations because we don't ever want somebody to not show up because they don't have money, but we just appreciate the people who can give and we put it towards the most effective stuff. So you show up, and if you have $10 as an adult, that would be really cool and would go towards our next programming for summer camp, some scholarships so girls can go for free. But if you are a camper coming to our show, obviously just come on in. Like you are Scranton Girls Rock right now, right? Like this is the first year of campers, and I've seen Orlando Girls Rock go for years and years. So like that first round of girls is going to be so impressive in 5 or 6 years. If you're impressed with them now, like wait until they keep continuing with this and stick with their friends. So yeah, $10
Cool.
out the door if you could, but you know,
Okay. And it'll
don't
be
worry
an
about
opportunity to learn about Scranton Girls Rock, to enjoy music, to connect with other people. And as you were talking, it made me think too. So girls, with this camp, they might have gone last summer. They probably want to come back again because it's going to be, different girls, different people coming together, different, you can create different songs, different music, and keep on coming out every year as long as they're still interested in music.
Yeah, we were already discussing that, and I don't even have any more clarity than that to provide because we're like, what if? That would be the dream. Oh my gosh, so many people want to come to the camp, but you're right. 18 campers possibly may be returning. So we'll have to see how the signups go. I'm pretty sure it's going to be first come, first serve, that's the best I could do to be fair. I definitely want to be fair. And hopefully with the extra events on the outside, maybe, they can feel like I hope they still feel like they're part of the community, even when the summer camp's not going on.
Yeah.
With this show on the 23rd. And maybe we could get like another event or two out there in a way. We're looking at some partnerships and stuff. I'm trying to make a 1-day workshop with the Girl Scouts.
Oh, that would be incredible.
That out in the ethos.
Okay, let's put that out there. Let's manifest that. That would be great. That's really cool.
And if there's anybody out there who thinks like, oh, that would be cool to have some women who have some musical experience to come to, even if like you're having an event, and you think it would be a good team up, like, oh, I don't have any music at this event. Like we're now like a database of a bunch of women musicians. So see if we could help you out, and maybe we could team up, co-sponsor, or just show up and be the hype girls.
I love it. That's great. And there's so many opportunities to collaborate in so many wonderful ways. I think that's fantastic. So let me ask you, Gabby, will you be at this event? Will we get to see you in action?
I am not able to go to this event.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Which
Okay.
is a bummer. I do like other classical music performing. Also, I sing I do like choral singing and things like that still. Like even though I teach it, I also try to do it. I love singing and choir, so I have an event for that day. So I'm not able to go. But hopefully, if we do more events, I will be able to go to the other events. And I, encourage anybody listening, please go. If you've never been to the V Spot, it is an experience in itself to go to the V Spot. We love the V Spot. But definitely go and support, any form of support is important.
Yeah. And I want to give you the opportunity too. You said you sing and you're also in a band. I know we were talking before I hit the record button that you're in a different band now, I think you said. And I think you're going to be performing at the V Spot with your band. So do you want to just tell us not, it doesn't have to be quick, just tell us the name of your band and some information about that and for people to watch out for you so they can come out and support.
Yeah, so I play in a cover band called Backup Plan. Um, I am the only woman in the band, but that's okay because the guys that I play with are fantastic. But we play a lot of rock covers, a lot of different things. But we've only been together for just this year is the first year we've played together. So we have an upcoming show December 26th, day after Christmas at the V Spot. It's a late one. It's 9 p.m. to 1 a.m., but it is always a great time at the V Spot. So please come out if you're able. I also play solo things. I play keyboard and sing around the Scranton area also. So you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. Gabby Tallarico is usually where my musical things are. So you can check that out. And Backup Plan also is on Facebook and Instagram.
Excellent. All right. Well, as we start to wrap up, I want to make sure I covered everything and give all the listeners enough information to. I know that November 23rd is a great opportunity for listeners if you are in the Scranton area to come on out. And the V Spot, it's so funny. I had heard about it for many years. I had never gone until I want to say it was a fundraiser last year, Natalie, that I went to. And then a local shout out to Monk who does poetry there. I was at one of his poetry nights. Those are the only 2 times I've been there, and I hope to get there on the 23rd. But it is a really cool space that is very supportive of local talent. Open mic that Rich Howells runs is like every Tuesday. I think they're still doing it, but he did it for years and years, and a lot of musicians. So it's important to have businesses who do supply or give the opportunity or the platform, the literal stage, so that these things can happen. But what else would you like to share, Natalie, before we wrap up?
I would just double down on the V Spot shout out because Vinny has been supporting whatever I've wanted to do for about 12, 13 years now. I don't know. I was really young when I started playing in the area, and a lot of places were kind of scary to me. I started at 15 playing in these dive bars, and so going to that one and having Vinny, like, he has been consistent throughout the years, just like, do you need something to eat? Like, what do you need? Like, I'm there, somebody bugging you, what's going down? And even the situations are handled like so professionally rather than making a bigger scene. It's like, how do we eliminate this fire, right? Not just move it to a different bar. And I think he gives so much to the community that, the reason we have it at the V Spot is because he allowed for us to do this on a Sunday. And apparently he's trying to get more community initiatives in the V Spot on Sundays and these different things. He really just wants to be that curation of art and talent too. So shouting that out, if you're, looking for a venue ever and you have this idea, maybe, I vouch for the V Spot. It's my favorite place, and I'm glad that you went and experienced it, and we all have that commonality.
Yeah.
But I think we covered everything. I mean,
Okay.
I'll also, if you don't mind, I just wanted to add
Yeah.
to that. I feel like, there are a lot of places, and I'm not even just talking about in Scranton, but a lot of places will kind of have their shtick. Like they have like a lot of music is similar that comes through, which that's not a problem. I think that that's great because, people are going to go to where they want to see certain types of things. But I feel like, I mean, I play at the V Spot a lot. A lot of my friends play at the V Spot. Can go to the V Spot and see so many different things. Like you said, that they have poetry nights there. They have open mic. They have, I actually think that this is ending, but they have had line dancing on Wednesdays. They have you can go and find anything. And Vinny really, I think makes it a point to bring in so many different types of musicians and bands and opportunities. And like Natalie said, a lot of community events are happening on Sundays in the afternoon. I've seen a lot of fundraisers for different things for friends of the V Spot and beyond. And it's a really great, almost like a networking type of place where if you're a musician or even not, if you're going to check out local music, or local anything, it's a great place to go. And yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. No, that's so important. I think, I have listeners who aren't in Northeast PA, so maybe you won't get to see it, but I'm sure wherever you're located, there's got to be a go-to place, and there should be more of them, quite frankly. We do need, on that note, not to go off the topic, but even with what's been going on with food pantries and things with the SNAP benefits that weren't out in November, I am so proud to see so many businesses, and I'm sure across the country, but I know from living here in Northeast PA, I've seen multiple businesses giving breakfasts away or donations of money if you buy a certain thing, or collecting food and giving it to pantries. And I just think we need more of that vibe where we are giving to one another and supporting. And it doesn't always have to mean money. It can be time, it can be gratitude, it can be support, it can be shown in so many ways. And I think that's great. And so obviously the V Spot does it, and hopefully we'll get more people who are like that. So let's get out there, support those businesses, support the performers, and just, give what you can. And I tell you, there's a joy from that, especially when it comes from like-mindedness and collaboration, for sure. So I want to thank you so much, Gabby Tallarico. Check her out. Check out her band. Follow on Facebook and on Instagram. And Natalie Jurosky of Scranton Girls Rock. So Scranton Girls Rock, I know you're on Instagram. Where else, Natalie, should they check out Scranton Girls Rock?
That's my life right now. So just get in
Okay.
touch with Scranton Girls Rock. I do have an Instagram, NJUROSKY. It's just first initial, last name, simple. But my phone number, no, that would be the easiest though.
Okay.
So,
But yeah, definitely following Scranton Girls Rock on Instagram. I know you're active on there for sure. Okay.
yes,
So
we're
they
really
can
trying to
stay.
grow this community. So it's taken a lot of time, and I'm so impressed, like the more and more it goes on, the people that I meet, and truly, like, please reach out. Like, it's not anything scary. Unless you're afraid of clowns,
I'm afraid of clowns, and I'm not afraid of you, Natalie. So no, that's a great point to close on. I think it's so important that I've said this numerous times. The younger me necessarily would not have necessarily reached out to people. And through the years, I'm learning, like, even if I see someone on Facebook or Instagram, I'm like, I like what they do. I'm going to even for this podcast, I'm going to reach out. In fact, I'm recording another podcast today of someone that I just started following what they do on Instagram, and I admire it. It's Pittsburgh based mental health. I'm Fine. It's a project about creating ceramic masks, because a lot of times people with mental illness feel they need to put on a mask. I'm fine. Look at me, all that. Like, I'm good. Don't worry about me. And so we're going to have a conversation, and that's going to be coming up in the following week. But I just followed them and said, I love these masks. They're beautiful. I love what they symbolize, what this organization is doing. Reached out to the one artist, and we're going to have this conversation. So my point is just reach out to people, even if it's and yes, a lot of times people do not get back to you, and sometimes that's sucky. I mean, if they don't know you, maybe they won't get back to you. And there are people who know me a lot of times, and these people just, sometimes the courtesy of that is kind of going away. But that sucks, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. Just reach out, because if you do get connected, you can really make great things happen. So I think that's important. Well, thank you again to Gabriella and to Natalie, Gabby, I should say. I went from being informal to now I'm Gabriella. I'm getting formal as we close up here. But thank you so much. And to those listeners, check out Scranton Girls Rock. Check out Gabby Tallarico. Check out the V Spot, especially if you're here in Northeastern Pennsylvania. And as I said, coming up, I do have the women from the I'm Fine project in Pittsburgh. But I think it's it's going to be an important conversation, even if you don't live in Pittsburgh, because I love what they have going on, the importance of art and mental health and our mental wellness. And I think that's important. As I say every week too, if you're interested in being on the podcast, please reach out to me. Or if you know a woman that you're like, I think she should be on there to tell her story, My goal is to feature women and to empower, inspire, inform, entertain. That's the goal each week. And if you'd like to support conversations like this, please reach out to me about podcast sponsorship packages, because trust me, they are more affordable than getting that latte every day out there. Although, yes, support local business, but you can also support someone like me too and support these conversations. So thank you so much. And as I say each week, I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of my wine glass.